Today we're going to learn about turning word phrases into algebraic expressions. We've been working on this a lot with multiplication and division, and now we're going to add subtraction in addition to this. Because we're doing all four operations, this video is going to be on very simple word phrases that we can change into algebraic expressions, and then later on we're going to build up to real-life situations that we can translate into algebraic expressions. First, you need to get out your table that I handed you in class. It has the operation at the top, word phrases in the middle, and the algebraic expression on the right-hand side. I want to look at the operations column. We have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Underneath each one of these, we're going to write what type of operation it is. In addition, since you're adding to something you already have, it is an increasing operation because your answer will be larger than your first number. With subtraction, if we start off with a big number and we take away some, our answer is going to be smaller than the number we started with. So subtraction we will label as a decreasing operation. And the last two, we have multiplication. Again, multiplication is kind of like addition in that we keep increasing. And this is specifically with whole numbers. And then finally, division is also a decreasing operation like subtraction. And if you know what subtraction or what division is, it's really repeated subtraction, just like multiplication is repeated addition. So we have what kind of operation each one of those are. Now we're going to write example word phrases for each of these along with algebraic expressions that match. Make sure when you're filling out this table that you write kind of small because we're going to have a lot. If you need to fill up the back of it too, that would be fine, but try to write as neatly as possible. We're going to be using these tables in class a lot over the next week. The first operation we're going to start with is addition. And addition, remember, is our increasing operation where we are just combining two numbers. The first word phrase we're going to write down is a number plus 4. Our clue word in this word phrase is plus, obviously because of the plus sign in addition problems. We're going to go ahead and underline that. Over in our algebraic expression box, what that's going to look like, a number would be n, our variable, plus, we're going to use our plus sign, and then 4 because we are adding 4. Another way to write that same algebraic expression with a different word phrase could be something like this: 4 added to a number. We're going to go ahead and underline added to. Those are our important clue words. And for our algebraic expression, in this case, we're going to write n plus 4 because a number is what we're starting with, and then we're adding 4 to that. Next word phrase for addition, a number more than 4. And this time we're going to write more than. And 4 will come first, and then our variable is a number more than, so we're adding a certain number onto that 4 that we already have. The reason that more than is an addition expression rather than a subtraction expression that a lot of kids think it is because you're adding on, you're adding more to what somebody else has. We have 2 more word phrases to go for addition. The next one is a number combined with 4. Combined is definitely our clue word because when you combine two things you are adding. And that one can just be n plus 4 again. And finally, since addition is an increasing operation, whenever you see a word phrase that says a number increased by 4, increased by definitely tells you that you need to be adding. So that's our set of clue words for that. The next operation is subtraction. Subtraction word phrases can get a little tricky because sometimes you have to reverse your variable and your number, and we're going to show you what that looks like now in the video, and then tomorrow in class we're really going to go over why that's the case. So our first word phrase is 4 minus a number, and minus is our clue word because a minus sign is taking away. And if you see a 4 minus a number, your algebraic expression is just going to read exactly as your word phrase from left to right. So since we see 4 first in our word phrase, 4 would go first. That would be 4 minus n. Our next word phrase is a number minus 4. This is pretty much the same thing as the last one, but I wanted to point out how the order of subtraction really makes a difference here. In our first word phrase, 4 minus a number had the 4 first. And now in our second word phrase, we have a number minus 4. Our variable comes first in this case because that's what you see here, n minus 4. Our next word phrase is a number decreased by 4. That's exactly like our increasing one with addition. Decreased is subtraction because it is a decreasing operation, and we're just going to read it from left to right and put it down from left to right like we did for our top two. So a number would be our variable, that comes first. Decreased by is subtraction, and then 4 is our number. The next two are the ones that I was talking about that can be a little difficult, so just pay very close attention and make sure you're writing all of this down. 4 less than a number. Less than definitely means that we have to subtract, but if you're having 4 less than a number, you're taking 4 away. That means whenever you see less than, you have to flip-flop your variable and your number. So even though we see 4 first over in this word phrase, we have to flip-flop it. So the variable comes first, and since we're doing 4 less than a number, we are subtracting 4. And that is the same way with this next one where we see this. A number subtracted from 4. Subtracted from obviously is subtraction because it's right there in the word phrase. But if a number is subtracted from 4, we start with the 4 and we subtract a number from that. Okay, boys and girls, I know this is a lot of writing, but we only have 2 more operations to do and then we'll be finished, and then you'll have this all done and ready for class tomorrow, so you'll be in good shape. So just bear with me for 2 more operations. Our next one is multiplication, and I saved these last 2 for last because they're going to probably be the easiest for you since we've already done algebraic expressions with multiplication and division. So our first one is 4 times a number. 4 times a number would just be 4 times n. 4 times n, but remember we write it as 4n to show that that's multiplication. Even though you have a number and a variable glued together with no signs, you are multiplying. The next one, the product of 4 and a number. Remember, we just talked about this week how product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So if they're asking you for the product, they want you to multiply 4 and another number together. And we're just going to write that again as 4n. The third one we're going to write down is 4 groups of a number. Remember that groups of, packages of, any type of thing like that, or teams of, can all mean that you need to multiply. So we're going to go ahead and put that example there for multiplication. And we'll just put 4n. And keep in mind, with multiplication, the order typically doesn't matter. But in all algebra classes from now on, they'll ask you to put the number or coefficient before the variable. Last operation is division. Now division's order of numbers and variables matters just like subtraction does. So this is another operation where we have to pay very close attention to the wording of our word phrases. The first one is a number divided by 4. Divided by, those would be our clue words. And like our first subtraction word phrase, we're going to do our division from left to right. Since we see a number first, that's our variable that we don't know. The variable comes first and then the 4. The variable comes first and then the 4, so it could look like this. So we have n divided by 4. Another word phrase that also means to divide would be to use the quotient of 4 and a number. Remember, the quotient from last week means the answer to a division problem. So if they're asking you to find the quotient, they're asking you to divide. And this is another one that we can read from left to right. When they're asking you to find the quotient of a 4 and a number, you would just write 4 divided by n, because you see the 4 first in the word phrase. The last one we're going to do is a number split into 4 equal groups. We're going to underline the word split into and also equal groups. This is another one that you read it like you see it. A number split into 4 equal groups. A number is first, and then we are dividing that into 4 equal groups. So tomorrow in class, what I want you to be prepared to do is to have this table filled out, and we're going to be practicing a lot of problems involving word phrases and algebraic expressions so that you can apply this skill. Then we're going to be able to use it for more real life situations once you're more familiar with the word phrases. Anyways, thanks guys for doing all of that writing. I know it was a lot. Have a good evening or a good day or whatever time of day it is you're watching this.